on the Speed Talk program. I'm Jason Dale with Dean Reller. And Dean, we're getting down to crunch time.
Yes, it is. It's the final month of the season, and drivers are jockeying for points positions and trying to get feature wins.
Yeah. You know, it really does. It's getting a lot of pressure on these guys. You know, there's added pressure when they're counting every single point to see who's going to finish where.
That's definitely so, and you know, it's a matter of running well. And a lot of drivers don't do that though, too. Their main goal is to go out and win the race and finish as high up as possible and let the points fall as they do. And a lot of times that's what wins your championship too. So.
Yep. Late model division have been really fun this year because so many guys have won. It's been a fun thing this year.
You never know. Any particular week, it's any particular driver can step up to the plate. One big driver, Brian Roach, running a limited series on the NASCAR Touring Series, has not won yet this year, and it's kind of amazing, though he hasn't had that many starts.
Yeah, and so it's going to be fun to see what happens there. I thought maybe we could look at the point standings just a little bit and talk about how people have done. Sean Caranda is leading in points, and really the key for him has been consistency.
Yeah, he got the first opening night win, and I think that made the big difference right there. He got to jump on everybody. Qualifying was a big story with Sean Caranda. Qualifying always in the top one or two, with about one, maybe two exceptions of that, and they get points for qualifying, and that's really helped him in the point standings. Not to mention that he has 2 feature wins and a lot of other good runs this season.
Well, if you think about it, Dean, how many times has he broke down this year?
Not very many times.
I think 0. I can't remember one time this entire year.
I don't think so. There was one night where he had some mechanical problems, but slowed him up a little bit, but I believe he's finished at the end of it.
So he's doing it right. He's leading in the points in the late models, and then Jesse Klug is in second. He told me earlier this year he's never won a point title, but he's finished second like 3 times. So he's Mr. Consistent right up there. He's still within striking distance.
He leads all the drivers with number of wins, too, with 3. I mean, that's not really a lot when you think about it, but with the level of competition we have, you know, he's trying to step up. Had some good qualifying shows with the Mars Touring Series race. Had a great qualifying effort. Kind of fell apart a little bit in the race there, but they said they learned a lot that week and looking for better things down the road.
And then when you look down on the point standings a little bit further, Tim Olson, that's no surprise there. He's always near the front.
Another driver who hasn't won a point title.
No,
so.
But it's no surprise being such a veteran driver. He's 3rd, and A.J. Rhodes 4th, Stacy Roselle 5th, both rookies in the late models this year.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing to see that. A.J. Rhodes, I got a chance to look at his car earlier this evening, and if you haven't seen it yet, has a brand new nose on the car, radically different than the other cars. Very aerodynamic, and he feels that that's going to be the secret to getting his car up front. We'll have to see. Hard to tell, you know. It's more than just aerodynamics, but it does play a part in it. Stacy Roselle having a great year. A couple of bad nights to start off the season. Kind of thought, oh, here we go again, a bad luck thing. But that team has a tendency to come back. They did it last year and won a championship in the modifieds. Had just a horrible beginning of the season. Came back, won a string of races, and I wouldn't count Stacy Roselle out from doing some good things towards the end.
Well, and Stacy had a lot of distractions at the beginning of the year as well, getting married during the racing season, you know, and so they got off on the wrong foot as there, but they've really done well here in the last month or so. And I think next year he's got to be one of the favorites.
I think so. I mean, it's a definite learning curve in this business, and you know, 1 year under the belt makes a big difference. And that was a major change for that team, going to a late model after campaigning a modified for several years. It's a whole new experience, and so they had to start from scratch.
Speaking of the modifieds, John Notch is leading in the point standings in the modifieds. He's won a lot of races this year, and I don't think he's going to give it up. I think he's going to win it this year. He's got a big point lead.
He started out the season really strong, winning a string of just a ton of feature races. We thought no one else was going to win. Then he got into a little bit of a slump and took quite a few weeks before he made it back into victory lane. But it looks like they got things sorted out, and the stretch run's looking real good for John Notch.
Orrin Hooper is in second. Of course, that's one of your favorite guys. You've never done this on a TV show.
No, I don't think we can do that on a TV show. If you see me at the racetrack, Jason will know. And anybody that's been at the track knows what I'm talking about. He gets a special introduction for me, probably more than any other one. That's all I can say for that.
Well, he's an exciting guy.
He is. He's an exciting guy. He's a very little guy, too. Typical, you know, race car driver mold there. Smaller frame guy, but I'll tell you what, he's got a big time setup on the car, and the car handles great, and he's having a lot of fun out there.
3rd place in the point standings is Terry Merton, and we'd love to see him win a feature this year, but really, he's had a great season in 3rd place in the points.
Kind of in the shadow of the other drivers. first in the class, though, but Terry's there at the end, and that's what counts, and that's what gets you up in the points. It's just being there at the end, staying away from trouble, and just consistency. And Terry's got a lot of consistency.
Yeah. Well, just think about it. He's been racing since 1967. He knows a few things.
That's older than I am, so that's a long time.
In the Superstock division, Pat Henry looks like he's going to win his how many point title. He's won him in the late models, he's won him in the Thunder cars, and now the Superstocks again.
Once again, a driver that started out the season winning a lot of races, but the competition level has increased dramatically in the last month. And we've seen drivers like Pat Maloney and Jeremy Kurzman step up to the front. Scott Brandt jumped in a Rhodes racing car and won a few feature races. So, I mean, it's going to be exciting watching the stretch drive there. Pat Henry built up a pretty good lead at the beginning, though, and it's going to be hard to knock him off the top here.
And the Great North Legends, Robbie Thurston, looks like he's looking to win another point title. I think that's his third, it'll be his third in a row.
Yes, it will be. And I'll tell you what, once again, consistency. Rob's got a fast car, and he's very familiar with the car and very familiar with the track. Ran into a few problems along the way, though. His good buddy John Lure's got by him a few times now. And the last few weeks, Rob's not been first or second. So, you know, Rob's coming into a little bit of problems, too. But he's always near the front, stays out of trouble. Only had one wreck, really bad wreck towards the beginning part of the season. But otherwise, he's going to be in there.
Well, you got to remember, too, he's running late model this year as well. So he's got a lot on his plate, running both the Legend and the late model, and the productivity in his Legend did not go down.
Spoke to him earlier this evening, and usually I ask him which cars you work on, because he'll spend 1 week working on the late model, and then maybe the next week he'll spend working on the Legend. So he actually worked on both cars a little bit this week, trying to get him a little bit better. And I mean, there's a lot of time involved to work on one car. I can't imagine the time it takes to get two cars ready to go.
And Jay Rickert has been a fun person to watch this year. And the thing about him is he's running a lot of different tracks. You know, he's going to Wisconsin and racing, he's going down to the cities and racing, going to Ferguson racing. So he's going all over the place, and he's learning a lot, second in points.
He has an up and down season, though, that wouldn't quit. I mean, he's banged up the car, then come up here and won. He's rolled the car 6 times, end over end, and then came back to win. The car's not real pretty looking right now, but I'll tell you what, it's still fast, and Jay's a really a fun guy to watch. He had a lot of go-kart experience, and it's really starting to pay off now. I know the last probably year or so, he's really matured as a driver, and he's going to be a fun one to watch in the future.
Yep. In the Thunder cars, Ace Valancourt has about a 20-point lead over Brady Barker, and then Jerry Messer is third in place in points now. He started off the season not doing real well. This is his first year racing. You know, he's raced enduros and demos and stuff like that, but this is his first year with oval track. He's moved up to third in points.
You know, consistency. He hasn't won any feature races. It'd be great to see him in victory lane. We talked about someone else a little bit ago. We were talking about the modifieds and consistency and not winning.
Yeah.
Terry Merton. And there's a connection between those two drivers because Jerry Messer is a crew member of Terry Merton. So there's a good connection of information there. And it's also a good connection in race strategy too.
Well, and they're both third in points.
Exactly.
In their divisions.
Exactly.
And Brady Barker's one of my favorite guys out here.
he's a very young and up-and-coming driver, and I'll tell you what, he's got some experience in a modified. 190 ran one of those, and looked very respectable in that. There's a driver that could easily step into a modified and do very well.
I wrote that in my web column a couple weeks ago. I said, I could just tell in his eye, he's got the bug to race modifieds next year. And you know, his dad was a big racer for many years on the dirt tracks, and so I think it's going to work out for him next year.
And we got to talk about Ace Valancourt. You know, he won what was it, 4 or 5 straight races, and he's always up there near the front. He always has a late. It's kind of fun to watch him. He has this late charge. If he starts off the race real fast, you know, it's one thing, but usually he kind of holds back a little bit, and it's fun to watch him come charging through the field and trying to make that run towards the front. He's finished second quite a few times this year, too.
Well, a big change from last year. Last year, the 24 car, the silver 24, Pat Rothfork, seemed like he dominated a lot of races where he'd win by about a half a lap. You know, this year that hasn't happened at all. You know, Ace Valancourt has won a lot of races, but there's been so many tight ones with Brady Barker, with Dirk Henry, and these guys side by side. I'd have to say the Thunder cars may be the most exciting class this year.
It's one of those ones where you're going to watch the start-finish line and see who wins, and I know a lot of times you announcing the races look over to me who's standing in the scoring area going, who won? Because it's hard to tell at times.
Now go,
it's that close.
Let's go to the tower and see who won.
And I'm usually holding up hand signals. I'm usually going 5. something like that. So, and hopefully you can read the translation. There was one night I gave you
Yeah.
a hand signal, and somehow or another we got the wrong car number, and you announced one. And
Well, one was 2 and one was 22.
Yeah.
Remember? So,
Yeah.
Well, we won't worry about that.
but hey, those are good problems to have because it shows
Yeah.
the racing is very close and intense. So.
And in the U-Car division, Tom Jerstead has a huge lead, but he's got a big decision to make. You know, because if he wins a point title, he can't race next year.
New rule this year with
Yeah.
the U-Cars though, so it's hard to tell. We got what he's gonna do, or what's he gonna do? Quit racing the end of the year? I don't know.
Well, maybe he'll get into those trucks. Maybe we'll be able to fudge the rules.
And we got a chance to peek at one of those trucks and visit with Mark Rosnell a little bit about the trucks too. So that's gonna be an exciting thing to see those things getting sorted out.
You know, I talked to Tim Wilson, who races modifieds, and he's raced, of course, former champion, co-champion in the U-Car division, and he said he doesn't know about those trucks. Leaf springs in the back. He says it's going to be tough to get those trucks to handle. He says it's going to take those guys a while to figure it out. So he says, don't think that they're going to dominate the U-Cars right away.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
It'll be interesting.
It's always interesting, especially when you add a new division in, to see what all shakes out. So that'll be something to watch at the end of this year and into next year already. God, what are we talking about next year?
No, let's
Jeez.
not talk about next year.
We won't talk about that yet, but
And
it's hard to think about it.
And then there's the TQ class. We haven't talked about them yet. Blake Bjorklund is leading, Chris Farnham in second, Darren Nelson in third, and we're going to see some highlights of some in-car camera with Darren Nelson too.
I'd like to see that. That's going to be really exciting there. Those cars are very close, equally matched cars. He has some great finishes with those, near photo finishes. We didn't mention Al Jacobson. He's won a lot of feature races, but has not run the whole season, and so he's kind of out of the points hunt. But he's definitely a driver to watch because he'll come from the back and put on a good show too.
Yeah, speaking of him too, you know, if you look at the most popular drivers, because they're doing kind of a fun thing on the website where you can vote for your favorite driver, you know, and there's no money involved or anything like that. What it is just to see who's the most popular guy.
It's a good recognition thing, and a driver can take that along if they don't win a track championship and say, hey, I was selected as most popular driver. And that means a lot to the drivers too. It's really fun to watch the voting go along on the internet because there's been a lot of participation. And a really big surprise is, well, not too much of a surprise, is Molly Rhodes, who's just racking up the points in the Superstocks.
Yep. So that's kind of a fun thing too, and he's gotten a lot of votes. That Al Jacobson, he may be the top vote getter in the TQ division.
And Al's been around for a long time, and he knows a lot of people in a lot of different racetracks too. So I'm sure, like a lot of other drivers are doing, they're getting the word out and telling them, hey, vote for me, check us out on the internet and stuff like that. So it's a great way to get the word out about racing and have a little fun with it too.
And you know, I would encourage the fans to go down into the pits after the races. You know, I try to do that announcing at the track. Is after the races, they're not over with. You know, go down to the pits and talk to these guys, and that's where a lot of the real fun is. You get to know these guys, and then you can go out and cheer them on. It makes it more fun to be at the track.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who people are when you just see a car and someone with a helmet on. You don't get to see the actual person. You don't get a chance to talk with them and ask questions. And virtually anybody in that pit area you can walk up to and say, hey, what's that, or why are you doing that, or what's this, and they'll explain it to you. And not in technical terms either. You know, stuff so that you and I can even understand.
Well, that's going to wrap up this section. Just kind of seeing how things are going so far. We're getting down to
in the stretch run here of the season here. Not over yet.
Down the stretch they come.
That's right, just like in horse racing. We're talking horsepower though.
I'm Jason Dale, that's Dean Reller, and this is Speed Talk. On the Speed Talk program at the I-94 Raceway in Sauk Center. I'm Jason Dale with the winner in the Thunder Cars, Brady Barker. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Boy, I tell you, you've had a great year, especially as of late, won 3 features in a row. What do you think about that?
It's come a long way. The cars have come a long way. I've come a long way in driving. I learned how to drive a little better. Got to thank the guys in the pits that help keep the car up front.
Well, you're second place in the point standings, so you got to be happy about that. I know, talking to you earlier in the year, you wanted to think a little bit more about points. You know, thought you had a chance of winning the point title. You're still right up there. You still got a good shot at it.
Yeah, I want to win the point title this year, then maybe I can move up to a modified. Get something a little faster, a little bigger.
Talk a little bit about the Thunder Car division though, because last year didn't go so well for you because you wrecked your car pretty bad, you know. But this year, it looks like you really have a good handle on it. You learned a lot. You like this division as a learner class?
Yeah, I like it as a learner class. It's fun. Lately, it's been really competitive. Nobody's really ran away with it. Last year, there's a couple guys that just ran away. Nobody could catch them. And the guys in the tech shed have been keeping a closer eye on everything, making sure nobody's illegal. That all helps.
Well, there's 15 cars out there tonight too. It's a lot different between racing with 8 guys and 15 guys.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun when you start in the back and work your way up to the front.
Have you done that this year? Started in the back row and won?
Yeah, a couple times.
Well, that's gotta make you feel good. You know, I was talking with a couple of guys earlier this week, and they mentioned your dad. Your dad is Fred, right?
Yep.
Yeah. They mentioned he was quite the dirt track racer here a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't know if he raced here, but he used to race at Grove Creek a lot, white model. Got a couple of point championships and won a lot of features.
Yeah. So did you grow up at the track watching him?
No, he quit before I was born.
Really?
Yep. But every weekend, every Sunday, we always sat down and watched him win the Cup race. And when he started helping Larry Rosell, I was always out there with him. And so that's where I got the itch.
So are you the one who wanted to race, or did he ask you if you wanted to race?
It was my cousin that started it, Tyler, when he raced last year. He came up to me and asked me if I wanted to build a car with him. I said yeah. And then he didn't like it up here on the asphalt, so he wanted to go to the dirt. And I paid off the car. I bought it from him. Got wrecked last year, and we built another one.
How is your cousin doing?
Not too bad. He's got to learn to drive a little better. He's got to get used to it. But other than that, they've been working on the car and getting it set up good. So he's doing pretty good.
Where's he racing at?
Grove Creek and Wilmer.
Okay. See, Grove Creek, they race Saturday nights as well.
Yep.
So he can never come and watch you race.
Unless they get rained out like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, so that's happened quite a bit here lately. We've had some good luck recently with the weather. It's kind of gone around us.
Yeah.
That's nice. Well, you got to drive a modified a couple weeks ago. It was Jeff Rohner's car, and I see Rohner's their sponsor on your car.
Yep. Yeah, I've been friends with Jeff for a long time. We went to Apple River and asked me if I wanted to drive the car, and I said sure. And worked on the car most of the week, had Larry out there helping, and we got it pretty good.
Yeah. What was it like? Were you nervous at all getting into a modified with more power and, you know, a totally different car? Or what did you think about it?
I was nervous at first, but after the heat, then I got used to it and kind of figured, well, might as well race instead of running the back.
Well, you know, and they put you right in the front row, too.
Yeah.
I like that. They always do that here. If anyone's a rookie or first time out, they'll put you right in the front row. And you kept right up with those guys, kind of faded back at the very end of the race. But you raced them good.
Yeah, the tires are starting to go away. He hasn't bought very many tires, so.
Tires are pretty important on the asphalt racing, aren't they?
Yep. Real important. Get real slippery.
You know, how much time do you spend? You drive a Thunder car, which is, you know, it's a full-bodied race car with the 305 in there, and I think you drive a Monte Carlo. Or no, you got a Cutlass, don't you?
Yep.
Good-looking Cutlass. How much time do you have to spend each week on your car, and then compare that with what goes into a modified?
Usually, I leave the car on the trailer till Thursday and unload it. You know, putz with it on Thursday, and then it goes back on the trailer on Saturday. And modified, if you want to be competitive, you're working on them quite a bit. 3 days a week. Get them up front.
And then, of course, you mentioned Larry Rosell and Stacy Rosell as well.
Yep.
Those guys, they've been pretty important with your race program, or have they inspired you at all?
They've helped a lot. They've, you know, taken help, they help. Like up at the track, they help a lot. So I've kind of got the itch from them too to get and watched Larry for a long time and learned to be smooth, and so they've helped that bit.
How about Stacy? What do you think of him as a driver now in the late models this year?
He's a really good driver, I think. He can run up front and be competitive. He's had some bad luck, but he's been up front quite a bit.
You know, Stacy Roselle went from the modifieds and went up into the late models this year. And the thing that impresses me about him is he's so even-tempered.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of you. You don't get too riled up about stuff. Maybe you do inside, but you don't show it on the outside.
Yeah, I try not to. Just gets you in more trouble.
That's right. It does get you in trouble. You're a young guy yet. You still in high school?
Yep. Be a senior this year.
Okay. I see there's a lot of guys who are in Thunder cars, young guys, a lot of young guys in the U cars. It's kind of an exciting thing at the I-94 Raceway to have so many young drivers, because you're all going to be getting older, and hopefully you'll all be moving up, you know, to modifieds or late models in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of young guys out there that are good drivers.
Some that aren't quite as good, but
But they can still keep up and be competitive. And it's fun when everybody can be competitive and get up front.
you were here last year when we didn't have much of a crowd at the beginning of the year, you know, averaging 200-300 fans a night. Now we're averaging over 1,000. Does that make a difference to you at all, or don't you think about that, or doesn't that really matter to you?
Usually I don't think about it when you're on the track, but when you're up standing and watching other races, you think about it and realize how important the fans are too.
Well, thanks a lot. Congratulations and good luck on that point title. Also, you know, we have at I-94raceway.com fan balloting to pick your favorite driver. And this guy might not be a bad one to mark down, number 55 in the Thunder Cars. Brady Barker. Back here on Speed Talk, I'm Jason Dale at the I-94 Raceway in Sauk Center with the feature winner in the late model division, Jesse Klug. Congratulations,
Thanks
man.
a lot. Thanks a lot.
Boy, it's really looking been good for you lately. You have 4 feature wins now, second place in the point standings, and tonight your car was just on a rail, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I don't know how a guy could have got any better, to be honest with you. I know last week what we've been fighting out all year was basically a car that had a little mid-corner push. And what we did was some stuff with the sway bar on the front end and got it turn a little better. And tonight it was just unbelievable. Couldn't have a better car.
Do you have any good battles out there? You didn't start right up front, so you passed a couple guys.
I think the biggest battle we had was kind of towards the middle of the race there, where Stacy Roselle was trying to get under him a little bit. And it was, once we got by that and got by some of the traffic, it was between me and Trent. We got by him and hammered down.
Yeah. Then he had the 99 car of the defending champion, Brian Roach, the guy who finished second place in points to before.
Yeah, when my dad was saying he's 6 cars, he's 4 cars, and I was like,
He's closing in on you a little bit, but you had a little yet to go, you know.
Yeah, towards the end, it seemed like he said we were trying to pull it out a little bit, so it really worked out good.
How about the season as a whole? You think it's been successful? We're getting towards the end here. You got things figured out? Feel good about it?
I do, I really do. Starting from the beginning, I wanted to quit.
Well, that first night.
There was that crash, and then that deal where I got into Nate, or me and him got in together, and then we had that fire that one night where we were leading. It just seemed like we couldn't get nothing turned around, and now lately it seems like we're finally, knock on wood.
Yeah, really.
You know, but it seems really good.
Well, and then getting towards the end of the year, got the big invitational at the end of the year too. Yeah. So you got to feel good about that, where you got a chance to win the big money at the end.
Yeah, and when them Mars guys came the last time, the car just, we do so much experimenting all the time, trying to find something faster. I think sometimes we actually go backwards a little bit. We got to go back to the basics, and we're on a pretty basic deal right now. We're just going to stick with it, and we got to work good, so that's that.
Yeah. Well, there's getting to be pretty good car counts out here on a consistent basis too. Yeah. You know, so you're getting a good competition level every week, and the fans count is better, and so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot funner to come here when you got 22, 25 late models, you know. Yeah. When you win something like that, it makes you feel like you did something to it. And they're all good cars too, so it's a treat.
And you're kind of always been big on the fans too.
Yeah.
You know, you look on the fan voting on the website and stuff, and you're doing pretty good on that. And you
Where we
always
at?
have a crowd. Boy, you put me on the spot here. I know you're like in the top 4
Okay.
4 or 5 in the late models, and so that's kind of fun. And you always have a lot of people.
I
that
gotta
come
work
down
on a little
after.
suspension components there too. We'll get that figured out.
And you got grandma down here too.
Yeah,
You know,
you bet. Gotta keep them all happy, right?
Is it kind of a family deal with you? Always been family real involved with your
Yeah,
racing?
it really is, because my dad does all the engine work. My mom, I mean, I remember when my other grandma, when she was still alive, actually that's not even my grandma, but that's what I call her, because she's kind of been my grandma. But yeah, it's always been a real family orientated deal. It's, my mom's out there, my dad's here, so
You kind of grew up at the racetrack too, didn't you?
yeah.
Where your dad raced?
Yeah, heck, I remember when my dad used to race in Alexandria, racing dirt cars back in the 70s, they'd throw me, oh heck, it must have been the 80s, early 80s when I was old enough to remember this, but they'd throw me in the back of the truck and they'd drive home and throw ice cubes at me, and I'd be laying in the car, you know, and I get used to it, that's what it's like, you know. So Alex started at it at an early age.
What'd you think about that green Mamba show? That jet
Reminded
car?
me of that one night when my engine started on fire. That was kind of neat.
Boy.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of that, you know, when your engine started on fire that one night, you pulled into the infield. I don't know if I ever talked to you about that on camera. And you pulled into the infield,
Yeah.
and then, you know, everyone thought, well, he's out for the night. And you go start monkeying around with the car, you know, because there's huge flames. I mean, they had to shoot the, what was it called? The fire extinguisher stuff in there and put out the fire.
About 15 laps into it, the motor started going missing down the chute. Then the fuel pressure was starting to drop. I thought, oh boy, you know, something's happening, the fuel pump's going out on it. And then all of a sudden it just lit up in a ball of flames. Well, what happened when I came in, all unflamed, it was the alternator wire was sitting on top of the fuel line, and it had shorted out and burnt a hole in the fuel line, and then there was sparking, and it was shooting raw fuel out is what it was.
Jeez.
So once we got that all done, we kind of pulled it to the side there, and what I ended up doing was cutting the alternator line, pulling the sheathing over it so it couldn't arc on nothing. And I took some duct tape off the guy's car next to me and I wrapped it around the fuel line and then alternator finished. I don't know if I should say that on the camera, but there's not much they can do about it now.
Well, you know, as far as the alternator, you wouldn't need one. You don't need an alternator.
No, you don't, but I think like with these stock HI ignitions that we run, as soon as
Takes a
they,
lot of juice, I suppose.
it does, and as soon as like on the 100 lappers when you start losing energy, 12 volts, engines lose power right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and then with the fire, you wear the full fire suit and the
Yeah.
gloves and the socks and everything, I bet.
Yeah.
You didn't feel anything?
Not really. I
How
mean,
about your neck?
if they wouldn't have put the red flag out, I'd probably race 2 more laps. It's really a bad deal when you're in the lead. It'll go out, but it never does.
Boy, that was something. So you've had a pretty
Yeah.
exciting year this
Pretty
year.
interesting year, yeah.
So congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
no problem.
You still got that chance for that point title.
Oh yeah, we're working on it. We gained some ground tonight.
Yep.
That's what we'll have to do.
Yeah.
We're running out of time here, so we got to
Yeah. I know. Congratulations.
Hey, no problem.
That's
Thanks a lot,
Jesse
Jason.
Klug. I'm Jason Dale, and this is Speed Talk.